Gay Whiteley and KSBR News starts now.
Need a water rescue. Will be a duck that has capsized. We have approximately 30 individuals in the water.
The Table Rock tragedy.
We're broken. Hearts are broken.
17 vacationers drowned, 9 of them from the same family.
Guys, oh my gosh.
Did the duck boat's design doom them?
That awful question as Branson and the country mourn. Good evening, I'm Steve Grant.
I'm Lisa Rose. It's the tragedy gripping the Ozarks, this country, and beyond. Those 17 victims ranging in ages from 1 to 70 years old. Here's a timeline of what happened last night. A severe thunderstorm warning was issued for Stone County at 6:32 p.m. Violent winds roared across the lake where the boat was cruising at 6:59. 10 minutes later, the first 911 call came in to the Stone County Dispatch Center reporting that the duck boat sank not far from Table Rock Dam.
We have team coverage of this heart-wrenching disaster, beginning with Emily Wood. She joins us live from the staging area at the Showboat Branson Belle. Emily?
Steve, here we are one day later, and it still makes no sense to any of us. 17 lives gone. The youngest, a 1-year-old baby. The oldest, a 70-year-old grandparent. Many of them from the same family here on vacation. Gone by all accounts with what was the most crazy storm this lake has seen in many years here at Table Rock Lake. I want to show you the footage that a nearby resort owner shot from his dock of just across from where this tragedy happened. Resort owner Rick Kettles was out watching that storm roll in, wind speeds topping some 80 miles per hour. Again, that warning coming in just after 6:30 with the gust front hitting at 6:59. Dive teams have spent the better part of all last night and much of the day today working to recover those 17 victims, as we now know. And we also now know that federal investigators will be handling this case. The NTSB, along with the Coast Guard, working to figure out exactly what happened here at Table Rock. The question so many of us are grappling with right now, how this happened and why.
It's really hard for me as a Coast Guard licensed captain to really understand why they was out there. I mean, it's really, you know, you and I talked earlier, and I have small kids. I can't imagine being on that boat trying to figure out what to do, and I don't understand why they were out there.
It is challenging. It's not only physically demanding for our divers, but mentally challenging as well. And so, but again, it's a service that we provide, and hopefully bring a little bit more closure to that family.
So hard for all of us to understand just what happened here last night, and the video, of course, so hard to watch. I spoke with the Coast Guard member who's leading this investigation. He said it's too early right now to be able to determine how long they may be out here, but the big task in front of them, most likely starting Monday, will be recovering that duck boat now and trying to get more evidence from it. It is some 80 feet underwater at Table Rock Lake. Reporting live from Table Rock, I'm Emily Wood. Back to you.
Governor Mike Parson has ordered flags at all state and government offices to be flown at half-staff until sunset next Friday in memory of those lost. The governor this morning visited Cox Hospital in Branson to console survivors and their families. He also met with some of the civilians and emergency responders who helped with the rescues.
President Trump is keeping in touch with Governor Parson about the investigation into why the boat was out on the water during a severe storm warning. The White House releasing a message of sympathy late today, promising that he will monitor and receive regular updates on the situation. The Ride to Ducks location on Highway 76 in Branson is a growing memorial for the victims. The flowers and teddy bears are piling up in front of the parking lot and on the windshields of the cars left behind by the people who drowned. Visitors and Branson residents alike have been stopping by all day to pay their condolences.
When we got up, that was the first thing that really was on our minds. It wasn't about the vacation. It wasn't about having a good time. It was just all about sending our prayers and our love out to those family members, because they could have easily been us.
Ride the Ducks is obviously closed, and the owners said earlier today it will stay closed through the investigation. A vigil for the victims will begin there in about 3 hours.
3 candlelight vigils tonight in the Branson area to remember the 17 victims, and all of them begin at 9 p.m. The first vigil begins at the Ride the Ducks office on 76th Strip. A separate candlelight vigil on Table Rock Lake will happen at the Tiki Bar there at 611 Rock Lane. They ask you to bring candles, flowers, and balloons. And then Brookside Church also invites you to a vigil at its sanctuary at 2193 State Highway F in Branson.
Now let's take a look at the design of duck boats. They are amphibious vehicles that can travel on land and water, of course, and they trace their roots back to modern wartime. The dimension of today's boats aren't easily found, but the World War II versions they are modeled after were 31 feet long, a little more than 8 feet high, and 8 feet wide. Without passengers, they weigh about 7 tons or 14,000 pounds. Duck boats hold 30 passengers and 2 crew members. On the Ride the Duck boats, life jackets are stored above the passengers, as you see here. There's also only one way in and out on a boat like this. It's the stairs that come down on the back of the vessel.
You might also notice that most duck boats are covered, something the National Transportation Safety Board criticized 20 years ago when another tragedy happened in Arkansas. Joe Hickman shows us the historic similarities to the situation in Branson.
You know what that's for? Charge!
Duck boats are popular entertainment rides all over the world, but with 39 people dying in accidents in them over the past 20 years, the safety of these World War II-era amphibious vehicles has been called into question many times, including 1999, when the Miss Majestic rapidly sank into Lake Hamilton in Arkansas, killing 13 of its 21 passengers. 7 were found inside, and the NTSB report said contributing to the high loss of life was a continuous canopy roof that entrapped passengers. And even though all boats are required to have life jackets aboard, like these stowed beneath the canopy, the report said the passengers' buoyancy forced them into the overhead canopy, which acted like a net to entrap them. At the time of the Arkansas disaster, then NTSB Chairman Jim Hall said, "The bottom line is, why are these boats still being used? These boats are not designed for recreational use, especially with large numbers of people and weather like this." The NTSB report on the Arkansas case also recommended that canopies on duck boats be removed when they enter the water. But the Coast Guard did not follow that recommendation. As you saw in the video of the Branson sinking, the duck boats were covered.
The Miss Majestic event in Arkansas is one that they're probably going to be looking at what they saw there to understand some of those issues are the same. They found that canopy on the duck boat made it harder for people to get out of the sinking boat. Now, there's been a lot of criticism of the boats over the years. Any boat operating in those conditions, the margins of safety are eroded.
And it is ironic that canopies that are there to protect passengers from bad weather like rain or extreme heat could very well have played a role in taking the lives of passengers in a weather-related tragedy. I'm Joe Hickman reporting.
The Storm Team's Abby Dyer joins us now with a look at the radar timeline when that violent storm rolled through last night. Abby?
There was indeed a severe thunderstorm watch issued yesterday at 11:20 a.m. It was out for hours. We knew severe weather was likely in the forecast, and there were a handful of storms on the radar through the early afternoon hours that did go severe. They were producing wind damage. They had some hail associated with them. And then we started to really see this complex come together in the early evening hours, close to 5 p.m. It's this storm cell that eventually made it to Table Rock Lake, and it had warnings on it the entire time. At 6 o'clock, this one had a warning on it for Greene County, and then at 6:32, it started to move closer to Table Rock Lake, and eventually this is the one that impacted the Table Rock Lake area. I want to show you what the radar picture looked like at that time, because the gust front or the high winds associated with these storms, they were well out ahead of all of the rain activity. In fact, at 6:32, when that warning was issued, the gust front was 23 miles or 28 minutes away from the Branson Belle, which was close to the incident site. As we got closer to 7 o'clock, 7 is when the winds really picked up. The water started to get choppy, and it wasn't until 15 minutes later that the high wind, the rain, and the thunderstorm activity arrived on the water. This is why we say it is so important to heed the warnings and heed the watches, because high wind can often arrive before the actual thunderstorm.
Thanks, Abby. So what should you do if you're caught on a boat in the middle of the lake during a storm? Braden Berg has more on that.
The Ride the Ducks boats were traveling into the wind and the waves, and a boat expert that I spoke with said that's exactly what you're supposed to do in a stormy situation.
The front of the boat is designed to break the waves as you drive it. So it does the same thing whenever you're driving into the storm, even though the waves are bigger.
Ben Gillum also says to shift the weight to the back of the boat to keep the nose of the boat up.
We see that a lot even whenever it's not windy. People put a lot of people in the front of the boat. They don't have their weight even distributed. And just small waves can come over the front of the boat.
Gillum warns about hitting waves sideways because it's easy to toss people out of the boat and for water to come in. And he says to use 1/2 or 3/4 throttle to get back to shore rather than punching it.
Because it keeps the pitch of the boat different, and it'll keep the nose up so that way you break the waves instead of driving into them.
If you know a strong storm is on its way, stay close by to your dock or don't go out at all. But if you get caught in something severe, beach the boat as quickly as you can.
It's a lot easier to fix a boat than it is a person. You know, you might be stranded there for a little bit on the shoreline, but you're still safer that way.
If you're ever stuck in a storm, avoid the wide open areas of the lake because that's where the wind and the waves will be the largest. Reporting on the Stockton Lake, I'm Braden Berg.
All right, now let's look at weather, and we are tracking more rain on the radar tonight.
Chief Meteorologist Ron Hurst joins us from the Storm Team Center to tell us if we can expect more storm warnings.
Yeah, thanks, guys. By the way, I want to add to Braden's comment there. Get off the lake just for lightning safety, too. I mean, you're the highest thing out there, you're going to be attracted to the lightning, so get off the water because of that as well. Tonight, watching the radar, there are some light showers out there, more like sprinkles. We haven't seen anything too huge in the last hour or so. We had some stronger thunderstorms earlier from Mansfield, rolled all the way over through Winona. Our weather watcher in Winona, Mary Haney, reported hail to the size of ping pong balls, but that is long since gone. There may be some additional development that we're going to watch for in the next hour or two in this part of our viewing area. If that forms, it will slide onto the southeast tonight. This is the time lapse, and you can watch these stronger thunderstorms develop right over here. There they are, and they quickly move out of our viewing area. There is actually a severe thunderstorm watch for south central Missouri, north central Arkansas until 10 p.m. tonight. In addition to that, we still have heat advisories and an excessive heat warning that go until 8 p.m. tonight because of the very hot conditions over the Ozarks. And as far as what to expect tonight, we'll have a little weak front come through. We'll have a chance for rain, but by tomorrow morning, we're going to be looking at temperatures in the low 70s. Lisa?
Thanks, Ron. When we come back, we'll hear from more heroes who helped try to save victims there on the duck boat.
Back in a moment. And now more about quick action in the Table Rock tragedy. A nurse from Iowa was among the heroes who worked to save some of the victims of the duck boat disaster in Branson that took 17 lives.
Wade Johnson and his wife Melissa were vacationing in Branson, waiting to board the Branson Belle showboat when the storm came through. Wade, an emergency room nurse, performed CPR on some of the victims.
It didn't quite register right away as to what had happened, so I kind of stepped outside and was looking in the water, and that's when I saw the people in the water, and then it kind of hit me that it was one of those Ride the Ducks tourist boats that had capsized with people in it. The people from the Branson Belle were trying to pull people out of the water and throw them life jackets and all kinds of stuff.
Couple, as you can imagine, said that they were nauseous knowing that many of the victims were doing just what their family was, just trying to have fun on vacation.
I think that's why so many people identify are so heartbroken by what's happening.
Indeed.
We're tracking rain on the radar tonight.
Ron is back to tell us where those showers are headed and also if they'll become storms.
And now, your KY3 Storm Team forecast.
Good evening, folks. So far, so good on the radar, at least for the time being. Of course, earlier I showed you we had those heavy thunderstorms from Mansfield moving across northern Howe County and southern Shannon County that produced ping pong ball size hail. But that is all now gone, and what we're seeing is just very light rain showers out there. Out here to the west, though, notice there is some development. That's something that I'm going to be watching for the next couple of hours. The atmosphere is capped in a way, and so it's been keeping all these things just very light, not allowing it to develop. However, there's a jet streak coming in here, and that may be enough to start to weaken the cap, and if that happens, this is where I think the thunderstorms are going to blow up. They will move to the southeast like this. So even though we have the severe thunderstorm watch over here, I think we're going to need to watch and see what happens a little bit farther to the west this evening. Here's the time lapse, and notice those stronger thunderstorms blowing up over here about an hour or two ago. They're actually out east of Poplar Bluff and out of our viewing area. and this general movement will govern what happens tonight as well. So as we take a look at Futurecast, it's really not doing a bad job, but notice how it does start to blow up this activity in Kansas and down into southwest Missouri. That'll extend down towards Table Rock Lake. Another wave of energy may come along a little later on tonight. That will also throw some pretty heavy thunderstorms down in northwestern Arkansas sometime after midnight, and then we may see some lighter showers move through the Ozarks until sometime around sunrise. After that, this wave of energy moves along, and we start to get some sunshine through the day and for the weekend. Temperatures today not as warm as we had anticipated. It still made it to 101 down at Branson, according to Hank Williams. 90 is the current temperature in Eureka Springs, 95 over in Houston, 95 in Avon, 94 down in Mountain Home, and Bonneville Lines down in Jasper got to 96, along with Louise Hendricks over in Sligman. There is some light sprinkles going on just west of Springfield. We can see that on our tower camera. We're seeing sunshine at the airport, but we can see there is some cloud cover. We're currently at 92, humidity 44%, and our winds currently out of the northeast at 5 miles an hour. Algae count today came in at 11, but the mole count is crazy high again. It's back up in the very high category, coming in at 67,000. Here's the basic weather setup. We have a storm system that's going to be moving over Chicago. High pressure is building in over the Great Plains, and it's that area of high pressure that's going to build south over the weekend. As our storm pushes off to the east, it takes the cloud cover and the moisture with it. This allows for some cooler temperatures to move into the area, but more importantly, it's going to bring with it lower humidity, and that is going to feel pretty good. Checking out our temperatures in the morning, upper 60s for our northern counties, low 70s for southern ones. As we get into noon on Saturday, we'll warm up nicely. It should be a beautiful day with readings in the mid-80s, and we think we're going to top out somewhere around 90 across southern Missouri and northern Arkansas, maybe slightly cooler across these northern counties. So our forecast then for tonight, we're expecting some thunderstorms out there, overnight temperatures in the low 70s. If these storms do form, they'll be capable of high winds and some moderate to large size hail, so we're going to be watching very carefully for that. Then for tomorrow, it's going to be a beautiful day. We'll clean out the sky, get some sunshine, about 90 in southern Missouri, low 90s in northern Arkansas. If you live north, Truman Lake, Lake of the Ozarks area, probably middle to upper 80s up there. In our 7-day forecast, we have some delightful weather on Sunday. The nice weather extends into next week, although Lisa and Steve will start to see things warm up just a bit.
It is still summer. Thanks, Ron. Chad is next with sports.
Push alerts to your phone. It's why KY3 is your breaking news authority. Sports with Chad Plum starts now.
Good evening, everybody. Nixon native and U.S. Olympian Courtney Frerichs setting the United States record in the 3,000 steeplechase this afternoon at the Monaco Diamond League event. Frerichs finishing her steeple in 9 minutes and a fraction of a second, which is actually a new record not just for the U.S., but for all of North America. Jack Sock in town tonight, making his 2018 Lasers debut. The Kansas City native coming off the men's doubles championship at Wimbledon. It says a second straight year of being a Laser is very exciting, even telling his agent last year to make it happen.
My brother and I grew up playing here. I think we played each other here. We won a doubles tournament here, Eric and I. We played some of our close friends we talked to today. We played them in tournaments here, Super, Sweet 16. So I've been here a lot to Cooper.
The SEC preseason football polls have been released. The Mizzou Tigers picked for 4th in the East, ahead of a couple of teams receiving first-place votes. Not the same story, though, for the Razorbacks, who are picked last for the West. St. Louis bouncing back in a big way from last night's loss to Chicago. Matt Carpenter, 5 for 5 at the plate today with a pair of doubles and 3 home runs. All Cardinals 18-5 over the Cubs. Doubleheader scheduled for tomorrow. And both the Royals and Springfield Cardinals are in action tonight. Zach Johnson, Kevin Kistner tied atop the British Open leaderboard at 6 under. Then there's 3 more golfers who are just a stroke back. We'll have highlights of them tonight at 10.
Okay, back in a moment. I like this part about after the rain, the humidity goes down.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, we're getting a beautiful weekend shaping up for the Ozarks, and this is one we certainly deserve. Overnight temperatures in the mid-60s to low 70s. Afternoon high temperatures, upper 80s to low 90s. Plenty of sunshine. The good news is the nice cool mornings extend into next week for a couple of days. And keep in mind the fair starts next week, and right now the weather for the fair, the end of next week. Okay. The weather looks really good for that, and in fact we're going to get another shot of cooler air probably the following weekend.
All right.
Okay, more on the duck disaster. 3 vigils being held. We'll have the latest. We'll take you there live tonight at 9 and 10.
Thank you for watching.